Hi everyone, I am Whitroy. Welcome to this audiobook learning video.
Hi everyone, my name is John and I work alongside Whitroy as an electrical tutor.
In this video, we will introduce ASNZS 4836, which covers safe working on or near low voltage and extra low voltage electrical installations and equipment. Before we begin, I want to make something clear about this audiobook. This is not a word-for-word reading of ASNZS 4836-2023. The standard itself must always be read and followed exactly when you are doing electrical work or preparing for the EWRB exam. The official standard is the legal and technical reference. If there is any difference, missing detail, or possible mistake in this audiobook, you must follow the official document. What this audiobook does is take the key ideas from the standard and explain them in simple spoken language, the kind of language you can listen to while driving, working, or revising. It helps you understand what the clauses mean, why the rules exist, and how they apply in real electrical work. So please think of this audiobook as a learning companion, not a replacement for the actual standard. All right, let's get started.
Section 5. Work on or near elevated electrical equipment, poles, structures and overhead conductors. Today we're moving into Section 5 of ASNZS 4836. This section is about work on or near elevated electrical equipment, poles, structures and overhead conductors. This type of work has more than one serious risk. There is the electrical risk, such as electric shock, contact with live overhead conductors, arc flash, or contact with energized equipment. There is also the height risk, such as falling from a pole, ladder, structure, or elevated work platform. A small shock at ground level is dangerous. A small shock at height can be fatal because the worker may lose balance and fall. So Section 5 reminds us to control both the electrical risk and the fall risk before work starts. Clause 5.1. General. Clause 5.1 explains the general safety requirements for work near overhead conductors and lines. A minimum safe distance from overhead conductors and lines must be maintained. The purpose is to avoid contact, electric shock, or injury. This safe distance must be determined before the work starts. It must not be guessed while the work is already happening. Extra care is needed when working on or near exposed energized overhead conductors or other energized electrical equipment in elevated positions. When a person is working at height, even a slight electric shock may cause a fall. Because of this, fall arrest systems, suitable safety equipment, and the correct PPE must be used. PPE means personal protective equipment. If the work requires a safety observer, the safety observer must be skilled in rescue procedures. That is very important. A safety observer for elevated electrical work must be able to respond to the actual emergency that may happen. Poles and structures must also be tested and inspected before they are climbed, or before they are accessed by an elevated work platform. An elevated work platform, or EWP, should be used whenever practicable. The purpose of testing and inspection is to check, as far as practicable, whether the pole or structure is sound enough for the work. In simple terms, do not climb first and check later. Check the pole, check the structure, check the overhead conductors, check the safe approach distance, check the fall protection, check the rescue arrangements, then decide whether the work can safely proceed. Clause 5.2. Precautions before working on poles or structures. Clause 5.2 explains the precautions needed before a person works on poles or structures. Climbing a pole should only be used as a last resort. Before climbing is chosen, other work at height controls should be considered first. A safer option, such as an EWP, should be used where practicable. If climbing is still used, there must be a clear reason why a higher level control, such as an EWP, is not being used. A person must not climb a pole or structure unless several safety matters have been confirmed. First, the person must have the correct authorization, training, and competence for the work. The person must be able to do the work safely and correctly. Second, a safe-to-climb assessment must be carried out. There must be no danger that the pole or structure will collapse during the work. Older wooden poles need special care. Wooden poles that have been in service for many years may be weaker than they appear. Some older poles may need reinforcement near the ground line before climbing, especially where structural forces will increase. Extra care is needed where the loading on a pole will change during the work. For example, the pole may become freestanding, or the tension on conductors may increase or decrease. Third, minimum safe approach distances to other live circuits on or near the pole must be confirmed. If those distances cannot be maintained, action must be taken so the other circuits are de-energized. Fourth, the required safety equipment must be available on site. This may include fall arrest systems, fall arrest devices, and pole-top rescue kits. Fifth, a safety observer must be present if the risk assessment shows that one is needed. Emergency rescue procedures may also be required. In simple terms, before climbing a pole or structure, the worker must know that the pole can be safely climbed, the nearby live circuits are controlled, the rescue equipment is ready, and the worker is competent for the job. Clause 5.3. Work on conductive poles or structures. Clause 5.3 explains the extra risk when working on conductive poles or conductive structures. Extreme care is needed where conductive items are near live electrical equipment. This includes earthed situations, earth wires, conductive fittings, brackets, concrete poles, and metal structures. These conductive parts can create a path for current. They can also create dangerous voltage differences between the worker, the conductor, the pole, the structure, and earth. When working on isolated low-voltage lines supported by conductive poles or structures, the lines must be temporarily electrically connected to each pole or structure. Low voltage, or LV, still requires careful control. This requirement also applies to wooden poles with exposed earth downleads or other exposed earth bonding conductors, except low-voltage neutrals. The purpose is to control dangerous differences in potential. If a line is isolated, but the pole or structure is conductive, the worker may still be exposed to a hazardous voltage difference if the work is not controlled correctly. There are situations where this requirement does not apply. It does not apply if the line is treated as live and live working procedures are used. It does not apply if the work is carried out from an insulated EWP that is positioned so the worker cannot touch the pole and any conductor at the same time. It also does not apply if the exposed conductive equipment, such as earth downleads, is effectively covered with insulating covers to stop accidental contact between different potentials. In practical terms, conductive poles and structures must be treated as part of the electrical risk. Do not only look at the conductor, look at the pole, the brackets, the earth wires, the downleads, and any conductive path that could place the worker across different potentials. Clause 5.4. Erection of electrical equipment or conducting materials. Clause 5.4 explains the risk when electrical equipment or conductive materials are being erected near live, exposed electrical conductors. Precautions must be taken so that electrical equipment or conducting material does not enter the minimum safe approach distance. This includes building material. The risk is not only the worker's body. Long materials can move, swing, lift, rotate, or fall into the danger area. This may include metal pipes, conduit, cable tray, roofing material, reinforcing steel, ladders, scaffold parts, frames, tools, or other conductive items. If adequate precautions cannot be taken to keep the required safe distance, the exposed electrical conductors must be de-energized. In simple terms, when lifting or moving conductive material near overhead conductors, plan the movement before it happens. Think about the full length of the material. Think about wind, balance, lifting equipment, the path of travel, and other workers nearby. If the safe distance cannot be maintained, the conductors must be made safe before the work continues. That brings us to the end of Section 5 of ASNZS 4836. This section reminds us that elevated electrical work must control both electrical risk and fall risk. Before work starts, maintain safe approach distances, use an EWP where practicable, inspect and test poles and structures, use fall arrest equipment and suitable PPE, prepare rescue arrangements, and control conductive materials near overhead conductors. Do not climb first and assess later. Do not move long conductive materials near live conductors without a safe plan. And do not continue if the electrical risk or fall risk cannot be properly controlled.